What's up, everyone? This is the BumCast presented by Windy City Sports Cards. I am your host, HBAC, the head bum in charge, along with Bologna and Dougie Fresh. Southside Bum is on assignment this week. He'll be back next week. Again, I'm going to start calling you Woody Fresh.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man, nothing gave me more joy than just like every point in the draft, just zooming back in on him on his couch doing nothing.
That's mean, Dougie.
Dude, I love it, dude. I love it, man. Last kid to get picked in fucking kickball, some shit.
Oh, man. All right, so we are on our post-Bears draft show. We're going to have Rob and Bob from Halas Huddle Pod on, so they'll be joining us in a little bit. But, guys, happy Monday. How was your weekend? Dougie, you had an event-filled weekend, my man.
Yeah. Started pretty cool. Decided that I was going to take the family up to Rockford or over to Rockford and check out the Wolves game in hopes that they could, get themselves a win and keep themselves in this 3-game series, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's worse than play-in because it's like you got 2 games and the series could be over. It's terrible. But, dude, what I've got to talk about, like, Rockford is like an hour 10 minutes away. How the hell is it so disconnected? Like, I just don't get it, man. I mean, you're literally 70 minutes outside of Chicago. And like, it just goes to like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like A1, I was easily the best looking person in that arena, which isn't saying much. I'm telling you 100%. 2, I just don't understand how bad the food gets. 70 minutes outside of Chicago. I was sending you guys text messages. Their pizza vendor there was Pizza Hut. I mean, and the line was ridiculous to get Pizza Hut. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
On Rockford streets,
dude. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with something that, like, just to hold me over a little bit. So I order a bratwurst. They had a bratwurst. Dude, it was worse than like a roller dog. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I just don't understand how God puts something 70 minutes away from like one of the best cities in the world and it's nothing but Cretans. How does that happen?
Meth?
All right, fair. Next topic.
In my childhood, I spent a lot of time in Rockford. My grandparents lived in Rockford, so I was there maybe once a month, once every 2 months, spending a weekend there. Now, granted, this was also 30 years ago. I know some of the food places out there were not good. I remember as a kid. And I made a joke to you, Dougie. I'm like, bring me back some lasagna from Lino's, which was our family's like go-to food restaurant, for a night out in Rockford. Again, 80s, 90s could be completely different now. I just remember I need to go back as a 42-year-old guy to see if the food still holds up, but it still had decent reviews. I know, but my parents do though. My parents have been like saying that they just want to go to Rockford for one night to go eat there and just have like nostalgia and everything. So, but yeah, I guess that explains why my grandma cooked a lot. When we were over there, a lot of home cooked meals. So,
yeah.
I could probably still navigate the entire Rockford area and not having been there for 30 years. That's how much time I spent over there.
Yeah, I'm sure Eminem could navigate all of 8th Mile, but he doesn't go back either. But what I did want to point out was, you told me about this place or whatever. And obviously, I saw some, bad reviews, some good reviews, and, it's Yelp, so it is what it is. But the one thing that I wanted to mention was for a Friday night, downtown Rockford is a fucking ghost town. Even the restaurant you sent me closes at 8:00 on a Friday. Ooh. Like, I mean, how wild is that? I mean, the game didn't let out late, but all the bars, there was one bar open, but a bunch of like the bar restaurants were closed and everything like that. Most of the stuff, 8, 9 o'clock closed. Is that just have to do with violence and crime rates, or
could be?
I just don't know.
I'm gonna be honest, Dougie. I'm just surprised you're shocked by all of this. We're talking about Rockford, Illinois. We're not talking about like Austin, Texas, or Seattle, or like you're like. We're talking about Rockford, Illinois. It's like we're talking about practice. Like this is like.
I don't know.
When you were sending the text and you're like shocked and you're like, I'm gonna go ham on Rockford to start the show. I was like, dude, 20 minutes outside of Cook County stinks. Like that's why I barely leave Cook County. Like,
so Doug, one thing I wanted to ask you, because you're a Wolves season ticket holder, and we were talking about this. Were you actively rooting against the Ice Hogs to win?
This was the listener submitted question. This is what I wanted to ask. So I'm glad you're bringing it up, Jason.
Okay. Yes, I always have. I have always actively rooted against them because they're not wearing the right crest right now, and that's all it is. Now I'm not rooting for them to get hurt or anything like that, but I don't care about them right now. You know, like I like watching them. It stings a little bit less when they beat the Wolves because it's the Blackhawks' future coming up and everything like that. But yeah, as far as rooting for them, no, not rooting for them, not yet.
So for the people that don't know, like I'm sure there's people watching it. So the Chicago Wolves are the Carolina Hurricanes, like minor league. They're part of that system.
They're affiliate, yeah.
They're affiliate, and the Rockford Ice Hogs are the Blackhawks. So the Ice Hogs called up some of the younger Blackhawks to play in the playoffs because the season's over in the NHL, and they called up a couple people. So I immediately thought you're the Blackhawks' biggest fan I know, Dougie. So immediately I was like, holy cow, he's going to have a conflict of interest. But you're telling me you didn't even think about it. You're rooting against the Blackhawks. You're actively rooting against.
I want Ice Hogs to win like 10-0.
Yeah, we're rooting for the Hawks. We have the Hawks drinking rules, not the Chicago Wolves drinking rules. Like, what is this, Dougie?
Well, now all of a sudden you're playing into the Team USA versus Team Canada. Like, are you rooting for the Blackhawks when they're on Team Canada?
No, because we're
exactly. Well, I'm rooting for my favorite AHL team. Hey, when they go up, when the Chicago Wolves go up to Carolina, I don't give a fuck about them. They're dead to me. They just are. You know, it's just I don't know.
I want Lishanov to score fucking 5 goals, and
he did. He actually on Wednesday when I went to the game with Joey P, he got the overtime winner, and it was a beautiful goal. You know,
so Joey P was shocked by this. He thought for sure you were going to be rooting for the Rockford Ice Hogs.
Yeah.
So he went back in our history, Dougie. There were signs that maybe you were a Benedict Arnold because this is what this is what Joey P sent us. I didn't notice we went to Indy for the Bears game, but was this you?
Hey, you know what? We were down. I thought I saw Drew in the distance. I was trying to make him happy. Not my proudest moment.
And then he sent me this.
Shout out that guy's shirt, the Tecmo Bowl touchdown Bears, Walter Payton.
That Tecmo Bowl Walter Payton shirt is nice. And then this is the last one he sent me. This is from our karaoke night. I feel like I would have remembered this, but this might have been too far from Joey P. Joey P, this is the first time I've seen him really bust balls with Dougie. But this one's messed up.
Oh, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah. I didn't like that one, to tell you the truth.
Damn.
Scary. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't think, as much as I root for every Chicago team, I think I want the Wolves to be in last place every time because that's not our guys.
Yeah,
you know, I want Carolina to be bad. I don't want if the Chicago Wolves are winning the Calder Cup and all that stuff year after year, that means the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be good. And I don't want the Carolina Hurricanes to be good. I want them to be trash. I want the Ice Hogs to win everything. So that's our guys. I'm rooting for our boys. I don't care what city they're in. Just like I root for Charlotte. I root for Birmingham. Not my city, but they're our boys.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, here's also the whole thing too, is like I've been rooting for the Wolves way longer than the Ice Hogs have even been around and everything like that. So it's like it would basically be me like rooting for like a new Chicago White Sox. and I just can't do it. So I have standards. So I don't know. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm not sure that this argument is. I don't.
Yeah,
think
we're gonna have to put this to a poll
ahead.
tomorrow and see if people are actively rooting against future Blackhawks players.
Yeah. That being said, that's about 10 minutes too much hockey talk to start the show.
Yeah,
I'm ready for the shade.
Before we get to some Bears talk and our special guests, quick super chat from Gordo says, "Bring on the mullet."
I haven't got a haircut. I'm going back to my barber. But I gotta let it grow for a little bit. So it's coming, Gordo. I appreciate it. It's working.
All right, Peter. Let's bring in our special guest because we're gonna talk some Bear. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, we got paid. Pay a quick ad from our sponsor before we bring in our guests.
Exactly. Thank you.
The BumCast is proudly sponsored by Windy City Sports Cards, who specializes in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, White Sox, or Cubs, they have you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to Chicago-focused items, they also offer a vast selection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. So visit their online store at 312WindyCitySportsCards.com to find exactly what you are looking for to complete your collection or discover a new favorite. All right, we are back with our very special guests, Rob Schwartz Jr. and Bob Weiss of the Halas Huddle Podcast, and we are here to have you guys talk all things Bears draft. Boys, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
I'm glad I made it.
Yes, Rob, game time decision.
Yeah, my son's track meet. Shockingly, his event was early enough. I was like, I got on the road. I was like, I think I might actually make it on time.
Very nice. So, Bob, it's your first time in the BumCast. Rob, you've been a regular every time we're talking Bears breaking down. So happy to have you back. But yeah, Bob, first time here. Welcome. We're gonna talk some Bears now. I hope you guys are ready. So,
absolutely, always ready to talk Bears. Always.
Yep. So, Ryan Poles, Bears, they drafted, obviously, what we kind of, it was a little off the wall, I would say. No one expected Colston Loveland. Peter, you did the mocks the other week. They had Tyler Warren as the number one guy. There was, Will Campbell, Genty, all those different mocks, and it was completely wrong. They went tight end, wide receiver right off. So completely opposite of what we all thought it was going to be. We all thought trenches, and that was not the case. So Ben Johnson seems to have his fingerprints all over this draft here. So before we get down to breaking down each pick, I want to get from Rob and Bob. That's funny. Rob and Bob, give us your high level takes on the draft for this over the weekend.
Before I even talk that, I know you said you've talked enough hockey, but I got to yell at Dougie Fresh here.
Yeah, let him rip.
I'm sorry. The Rockford Ice Hogs have been around almost as long as the Wolves. They were created in 1999. I watched them in high school. Like that's my team. I grew up in Belvedere, right outside of right outside of Rockford. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, it's not like it was a 5-year difference.
Yeah, but they also weren't in the AHL at that point.
Correct, but they've been around.
Yeah, they've been around. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't great until I joined the BumCast. So that doesn't
okay, all right, there we go.
That's your first good argument, Dougie. Now you're winning me over again.
Okay, I'll go first. But overall, I mean, I think it was definitely a good enough draft. I don't think it was exactly what we would have done. I mean, look, we had 3 different ideal mock drafts leading up to this draft. We didn't get a single pick correct. There were guys that we talked about throughout the offseason, specifically Ozzy Trapilo. Like, we talked about him. We talked about Loveland. I don't know if we actually ever talked about Shamar Turner, to be honest. We never thought Luther Burden was going to be an option, so that was never brought up. But, look, I thought the draft worked out well at the first 4 picks. And I'm sure Bob is going to agree with me. The day 3 picks were a little bit outside of what we were expecting and probably outside of what we personally would have done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first 4 picks were just fine. I mean, my ideal mock, I had Warren going 1. So, going Loveland instead of Warren, that kind of makes sense at 10. And then Travion Henderson at 39 instead. They went another weapon. Even at wide receiver, still a weapon. So I was all out about taking weapons early, elite weapons early, and the way I thought the draft class itself set up, it was so deep at edge, so deep at defensive tackle, so deep at running back, it made sense to kind of wait there. And then, the Bears take nice tackle who's going to step in, and then they just decided to kind of abandon the draft after Turner. So we'll get into that later. But, overall, it was a hot start, almost to my ideal, not the exact players, but, the types of positions I was looking at, and then they just gave up. So.
Yeah, we talked prior to the draft, collectively at the Halas Huddle, like we wanted at least 2, possibly 3 guys in the trenches within their first, 3 rounds, and we got that. So we can't be too disappointed in that case.
Yeah, it was. This is the 4th draft that Ryan Poles has had now too, and I think after 4 drafts, you see the patterns of how he drafts, and it's just kind of clear as much as we may or may not want it to be. He does not believe in building through the trenches, obviously.
He just hasn't done it, right?
There to be taken, but otherwise, it's not really a priority for him to fill those out. And hopefully, it works. Like you're filling out your offense for your new head coach. Hopefully, it all works out. But certainly seeing some really good French players go in those middle rounds, and the Bears just trade out of the spots instead. It was kind of tough to watch.
Yeah. One thing I'm kind of worried about from a high level perspective is like last year when we drafted Caleb, it was we're signing these guys, we're giving them weapons, and then we kind of neglected the trenches. And now it seems like it's history repeating, but with just Ben Johnson this time, giving them weapons, more weapons, and then we kind of the line's revamped, right? But we said that they needed more depth, they needed, better on the defensive line, which again, they did take, Shamir Turner. So, but we all thought they were going to be higher picks, right? So, then obviously trading back, which I'm not going to say I don't hate, having 3 second-round picks, but was there better value at 41 than 56 and 62 for what they needed? So we can debate that going down. But let's start with Colston Loveland here, and I hate that the Sox have Colston, Montgomery, and now we have Colston, Loveland. Too many similar names. But Kyle Brandt, big fan of Colston Loveland. Ian Rappaport said today that there was calls from the Broncos and I believe another team that were trying to trade up, but then after Loveland got drafted, that those calls stopped. So it seems like he was a prime target for people who were trying to move up. So wasn't Tyler Warren, but Yurko on Carmen Yurko said he ranked Loveland better than Warren. So let's get your guys' take on the tight end for Michigan.
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it wasn't just Yurko who had him ranked higher too. There was some other draft analysts that I respect. Nate Tice is one that had Loveland higher. I listened to a bunch of Todd McShay leading up to it, and he was saying absolutely there are several teams throughout the league that have Loveland ranked higher than Warren. So obviously the Bears were one of them, and you'll give them some credit for just hiding behind that Tyler Warren size smokescreen to just let everybody let that narrative about how much fun and how much a weapon Tyler Warren would be. Which would be fun, but let's be honest, Tyler Warren was more of like a gadget guy. You're not building an entire offense around, some, tight end passes or, lining up your tight end in Wildcat. That's not how you design an offense. You design an offense around a weapon at tight end who can line up in the slot. He can go in line and block. That's definitely much more what Ben Johnson can use down in and down out. So it made a whole lot of sense. It just kind of just blindsided everybody when it was announced, I feel like. Just kind of big bait and switch.
Yeah, I think we all fell into the trap of we saw what Ben Johnson did this last year with Detroit and all the trickery that he had done, right? And look, Tyler Warren looked like that would be the guy to fit the trickery portion of it. But when he looked at Colston Loveland, he saw Sam Laporta. Mm-hmm. And personally, I'd rather a guy who's going to be Sam Laporta than a guy who could be fun to watch in the NFL in Ben Johnson's system. But I want that consistency. You're not winning consistently with trick plays. You're winning consistently with football players. That's what we talk about in the Halas Huddle is football players over and over and over again. And look, I had him 15th overall on my board, 11th overall on my Big Bears board. So I didn't think it was like too much of a reach. It was just shock. It was shock and awe because we had been talking over and over and over again about everyone else, and Loveland just never seemed to be the guy. But look, he's athletic. He's gritty. He's got a high motor. He can high point the ball way better than Tyler Warren can. He's going to be a guy who he's not going to be a yak guy as much as Tyler Warren was in Penn State, but he has the ability to make guys miss, fight through blocks, fight through tackles. He's a decent route runner. He's got a great catch radius. He's definitely an added addition to this roster. It pains me to think that Cole Kmet is going to see fewer targets than last year, and I have to. It's a ritual, and I know, Bob, this is your first time on the show. It is a ritual for me to talk Cole Kmet up to Peter because it's what we do.
Before I knew you were coming on, I had it planned that I was the Cole Kmet talk.
That was going to be my first question. My first question is, now that the Bears drafted Colson Loveland, and we know that Ben Johnson and his history with 2 tight end sets, they're going to be on the field at the same time a lot, right? But does this pick get is Cole Kmet hearing footsteps right now is basically what I'm asking, because they have very different skill sets, but overall, Colson being like the shiny new toy, I feel like especially because of Cole Kmet's history, I've admitted to you, he's been way better the last 2 years than when he first arrived and when he first got drafted. He's been way better, but he still has a little. Okay. He still has a couple things, like the blocking, and then sometimes he still has the cement hands. That's frustrating. It's not necessarily drops, but like there's plays that he could make that sometimes he leaves out on the field. But so basically, is he hearing footsteps? I saw you shaking your head. No, Rob.
I don't think so. I think if I'm correct, I think his contract runs through 2027. They probably have an out in 2026. I think he's here for at least the next 2 years. And then you let him walk. I mean, it's either he's either going to play out through his year in 2027, or maybe you end up needing a cap casualty and he's the guy, or you let him walk in 2027. I think having both of them on the field just makes this team that much better.
So, I mean, I'm actually got a bit of a different answer there, Rob. I think obviously 2025, he's on the team. That's just is what it is. But 2026, I'm not so sure. You remember, he shipped out TJ Hawkinson from the Lions, right? Just traded him in the midseason because it just wasn't his type of tight end. And then I do believe the Bears can get out of Kmet's contract in 2026. One of these veterans like Jermaine Edmonds can get out of his contract. DeAndre Swift can get out of his contract. And it's one thing that stuck out to me in the press conference Saturday, I believe it was, when Johnson and Poles were there. But Ben Johnson said, the dial got turned up a couple notches on some guys in that locker room right now. So the 2 guys that stood out to me immediately when he said that were DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. So, I think there might be a little bit to that.
I think the difference, though, is DJ Moore seemed to have a lack of effort in certain situations last year. Cole Kmet doesn't have that. Cole Kmet is a diehard
execution. That's all.
Well, I mean, yes, but he also went 4 games without even having a pass thrown to him. I mean, it was
talking about just whiffs on the blocking. Like the
blocking is a problem. For sure, it's a problem. And you got to block to get the rock, so he's going to have to prove himself in that facet of the game. But I don't really think it's footsteps. I think he's gonna win over Ben Johnson, just like he's won over Ryan Poles. He's a hardworking tight end, hardworking football player. He doesn't slack off in any way, and he loves the city. And I think enough people love him. I think within the organization, I don't see him going anywhere within the first 2 years.
Cole Kmet, you can actually, after this season, if they wanted to get rid of him, he'd have looks like a 4.8 dead cap hit for the remaining of his contract. So nothing too crazy.
But what's his actual cap hit? Like, what's the difference?
Up like 10.
So for next year, his cap hit is 11.6.
So free up 7. Well, yeah.
It's going to depend on money, but it's not really a thing that they seem to have an issue with right now. So,
right. Yeah. The one thing I do love about Colson Loveland, though, is you look at his size and you just see that how he's a mismatch nightmare. Like, linebackers aren't going to be able to keep up with them, and defensive backs aren't going to be able to cover him. So I think you're going to see a lot of plays up the middle with him that he's going to be a target monster for the Bears this year. And I think that's going to help open up for DJ Moore getting downfield and roam on the outside. I think that's going to be just there's going to be a lot of good stuff to watch for this offense this year.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be much help blocking on the line, but it'd be a decent chip block guy, and definitely downfield blocking. Downfield blocking is where like he really, like the shit that I've seen, he's really good at the downfield blocking. The other thing that I was going to point out too is, this dude just turned 21. So he's super young and everything like that. And if when he does pan out or whatever, you're going to get like 2 solid contracts out of this dude before he's 30. So that's huge.
Yeah, that was the thing I pointed out a lot with Tyler Warren. As much as I liked him as a prospect, I was always concerned about the fact that he was already 22, turning 23 this year. And, he really didn't produce until this last season. So was it just the fact that, your body matures when you hit certain ages? And it's like, did he just outgrow his competition as far as like, being, that old man strength is actually a real thing. So,
yeah. All right. Let's go on to our next guy here, which is probably the most interesting, shocking pick of the draft was Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri, coming in the number 39 pick. Hey, listen, I was saying in Ben Johnson we trust, but this one after DJ Moore, Rome, they signed Zacharias. Zacharias, I forget how you say his name. But with having him, Zacchaeus, sorry, I forgot that right. It seemed like he was going to be the slot guy. So how shocked were you guys by them taking Luther Bird, even though all the tape says this guy's got crazy upside and he's an insane route runner?
Bob, I know this was your favorite pick, so I'll let you touch first.
Yeah, so the Burden in itself was my favorite pick, but as far as like going wide receiver, it actually was something that was kind of always in the back of my mind. Trading up for Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State with those 2 second-rounders was something I kind of always toyed around with. I never actually liked the idea of trading both of those picks to move up, but third wide receiver, even with what all the weapons we got, third wide receivers on the field like 60% of the time, right? So 60% of the time your third wide receiver is a starter, so it might as well be a weapon. I like Egbuka because it reminded me a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but instead of that, here we got this guy who's just an absolute weapon, 4.4 speed, size just like DJ Moore, solid 6 foot, 208 or 206 or whatever he is, just a yak beast. So I'm really excited about this pick, and what I like a lot about it even more is it's clear that it was just best player available strategy, right? They missed out on Travion Henderson by 1 pick, and rather than panicking and trying to find something else, they're just like, you know what, this guy is really high on our board. Why don't we just take him? He's really good. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it seemed like that happened a lot during this draft. We all do fantasy football, right? And you always in some of your drafts, you always got that one guy picking in front of you that like steals one of your players, and then and it happens round after round after round. I feel like that happened a bunch of times with running backs at different times in the draft. Like I think everyone was hoping for Travion Henderson to fall, and then when he got drafted, I was shocked at the wide receiver position. Not because like we knew that wide receiver depth was an issue. And we knew that besides like Rome and DJ Moore, like there was no one really behind that. But like the best player available thing is something we talked about on our pre-draft show, that like a lot of really good teams have the luxury of doing that because they're really good teams and really good franchises, and they could just put best player available, and you kind of mix and match and kind of go that way. Whereas the Bears still have a lot of holes that. Again, we were all thinking trenches. When they drafted a wide receiver second, it shocked me. I liked it, but it was still something I didn't expect just because like we've talked about D-line and O-line ad nauseum at this point.
Yeah, I mean, D-line, O-line. Look, Michael Williams was my guy, and to see him go 1 pick after Colston Loveland, it justified my take on the fact that he was worth the 10th pick overall, but at the same time, it pained me, and I'm going to be watching him very closely in San Francisco. Like Bob said, though, best player available is what we've been preaching at the Halas Huddle over and over and over again. And look, if you're not going to get your guys, and we're assuming that the Ohio State running backs were higher up on their board. We don't know that for sure. But let's assume that even they missed out on it. Look, they're not just going to take whoever their next best running back is if they're not in the same tier. Tiers matter. And if you have Luther Burden ranked here and your next guy is all the way down here, like, it doesn't make sense not to take him. You will find ways to get them the football. I expect them to throw the ball a lot more under Ben Johnson's system than we saw in the last couple of years. I don't even have anything else to say because Bob hit it all already when it comes to him. The only knock on him was that he's a little bit of a diva. We'll see how that actually portrays, because he already talked about in his little short clip, introducing himself to Bears fans. Look, he's willing to block, whether he's good at it or not. He's willing to do it. So that right there is a good sign for me. He's got to expand on his route tree a little bit. He's, he's big enough, but sometimes he doesn't take contested catches as well. But look, he was rated the number one. I think, Bob, you said it on our show yesterday. He's rated the number one receiver going into this year, and he was rated the number one receiver coming out of 2023. They had really bad quarterback play in Missouri this last year.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a knock on Luther Burden. It was just a knock on their whole entire organization for this year.
And it's the same thing could be said to Loveland, right? Like I feel like the first two picks, by no fault of their own, like just the quarterback play and the offenses in general. Like, if they were in a different position, we might not have got those players because of that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Lutheran would have declared last year, he probably would have gone way earlier than he did this year or whatever. Yeah, he only put up like 600 yards this last year compared to like almost over 1,200, I think it was the year before. So, yeah, we just definitely a product of shit quarterback play. And dude, now I just keep thinking to myself, man, how crazy that wide receiver room is going to be. There's going to be some decent battles in there, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think, like you guys were hinting on earlier, DJ Moore is going to get the most benefit out of this because he's going to get pushed, and maybe that little bit of competition that maybe he didn't have last year, that like had him giving up on plays and knowing that like, hey, he ain't going to be replaced. Maybe he starts feeling the footsteps a little bit.
I just motivated DJ Moore. So I hope so. I mean, I'd love to see a motivated DJ Moore playing winning football, right? That's something that he's never done, is play winning football. So I'd love to see that happen. But
it's also the opposite could be true here. Like, it's put up or shut up time for him. Like, if last year was truly an indication of like the fact that he was pissed off about the situation, and like I know the locker room got lost and that's the way he was going to act, I don't see Ben Johnson putting up with that shit.
No,
it just doesn't seem like it at all. And if that's the case, then I'm sorry. I love DJ Moore, but if he's gonna become the diva, then see ya.
So the question for you guys now is: we looked at Ben Johnson's offense, and so Luther Burden's is projected to probably be the slot guy, and we look at Ben Johnson's offense. That's Amon St. Brown, who just target monster, gets all the yards. Do you see him still being the slot guy, or are they going to put either Rome or DJ in the slot now and have him be that Amaran?
So I do see Luther more in the slot. A lot of the scouting reports where his route running still needs some work. So when you're kind of in the slot, you can kind of just work in space and get the ball to you more on timing than route. But I think it's just going to become who's going to be most productive in that spot. I mean, all three players can play the slot, and then maybe maybe when they go two tight ends, you're not even have them on the field, but there's just ways to move all those pieces around. And one of the favorite things I hear Ben Johnson say all the time is make the same thing look different and different things look the same. So maybe as they just switch up their formations, it really just won't matter who's where because they're running the same stuff anyway.
Yeah. So I guess my question to you guys, and this is outside of the draft, but it's something, Jason, you just mentioned, and we've heard it a lot, both in and out of the draft, but we're all expecting Ben Johnson to bring the similar success that he had from Detroit. But he's mentioned multiple times now, he's ripping that offense to the studs and building something new up. So like we keep comparing like someone to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we keep comparing Laporta to now Loveland. And we say like, oh, they need a Jahmyr Gibbs type running back. But we really don't know what Ben Johnson's thinking, right? Like there is a chance, offensive genius, he loves the tinker, different things like that. He might be building something completely different than Detroit. Now, I understand he's not going to like really revamp his entire thing, but like it's hard for us to say like, oh, we need this guy like this guy from Detroit when he might be running something completely different by the middle of the next year.
He could be. I think the base part of his offense is going to be somewhat the same, but I think he's proven to be an offensive-minded coach enough where he can, shift things around and make some changes. You brought up the running back situation. Look, we haven't talked about it, but they got a running back in the 7th round that could essentially be David Montgomery. So maybe DeAndre Swift is your Jahmyr Gibbs this year, right? And you're going to play it that way. Maybe Roshan Johnson can prove that he can stay healthy and he can be your David Montgomery. We don't need the exact same guys. I just think it's a matter of like there's traits that he really keys in on, and those traits are things that he sees in both Loveland and Luther Burden, and that's really all he's looking at.
Yeah. So last question about the wide receivers is who's going to be the odd man out now with Luther Burden coming in, because we still got Tyler Scott. Like I said, we signed Zacchaeus. We got some other scrubs, but who's going to be the odd man out on this?
I think it's Tyler Scott because they brought in Duvernay also to be your return guy. So it's going to be between Duvernay and Scott to fight for, I think, that wide receiver 6 spot, assuming they keep 6.
Yeah. I mean, a 5th round rookie going into his 3rd year from a previous head coach that hasn't had any production in his time in the NFL. It's sorry, buddy. But I mean, it's also a good thing, right? Having too many good players is a good problem to have. And so you're getting rid of a guy who still might have some untapped potential. You know what? Best of luck to you. Go find your opportunity somewhere else. But, we're good here.
Yeah. Does he qualify for the practice squad?
If he gets cut, nobody picks him up.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
All right. Next up is in the second round, the second of the second round picks, pick 56. Ozzie Trapilo, offensive tackle from Boston College, and shout out Seth Rollins for giving the best draft announcement in NFL
Highlight
history.
of the weekend. Weekend, Seth Rollins.
So 56 overall, the Bears finally get their big guy. Looks like there's talk, but potentially he's a right tackle. He played right tackle for a couple of years. Maybe Darnell Wright moves over to left tackle now, and but I want to get your take on that guy on that first too.
I'll speak up here because I have been very vocal. I do not want to see Darnell Wright move to the left side. I don't care if they think he can handle it. I get trying it out maybe in training camp. Look, we saw this happen with Tevin Jenkins. We saw this happen with Kyle Long. Like, if you have a guy who is proving to be a perennial, Pro Bowl type talent at a position, leave him there. Stop tinkering. I just see Trapilo as a guy who's going to come in, potentially push on the left tackle side. I don't know if he can handle it or not. We'll have to see. I know he did it for 1 year at Boston College. It wasn't the best year that he had. Let up 5 sacks. He moved to the right, and he played much, much better. Only let up 2 sacks over 2 seasons. He's got a lot of talent. I had a 3rd-round grade on him. I felt like it was a little bit of a reach for him here, but it was also just how fast the offensive linemen were coming off the board during that part of the draft. And he proved himself at the Senior Bowl. That, to me, is where I think they fell in love with him. They tend to do that in this organization. And if he can put up, against the top-tier talent at the Senior Bowl, then I think he's worthy of at least pushing Braxton Jones. And that's all we want. Because, look, Braxton Jones isn't bad. If he is your 5th worst offensive lineman, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And now you have a swing tackle who can play. Look, not even just swing tackle. He's versatile enough to even move inside. So I think it was a good pick. It's the depth piece that we've been talking about, developmental depth piece. Could he push to start in a year or 2? Fantastic. And there's things he just needs to develop on. His bend, for one. Maybe these are things he can develop as he strengthens himself. There's a big difference between your strength and conditioning coaches within the NFL versus at college. Mm-hmm. So I'm just hoping that that's really all this is. And we don't really see him on the field too much this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think asking whether, Ozzie is a right or left tackle is kind of the wrong question. It's can he play left or right? And the answer is yes, right? He was drafted to come in here and be reliable, dependable depth. I don't think he was ever meant to plug right into a starting role right away. We like Braxton Jones. Like, we think, on the Halas Huddle, we think he's a solid player, solid starter, nothing spectacular. But the best case scenario for the Bears is for Braxton Jones to be healthy, start all year, play a solid left tackle, and then leave somewhere and sign a nice free agent contract to get that Bears a comp pick. And then somebody else slides in, depth from within to replace him. So that means Ozzie is just standing by wherever the opportunity might present himself to pop in and move in, great. But I'm absolutely not moving my stud right tackle to left tackle just to accommodate Ozzie Trapolo. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Here's the real key, and I might have the actual number a little bit off, but I think I have it correct. I believe they had 27 different offensive line combinations last year. A lot of that had to do with injury. So look, if you have a guy who can come in and play and fill in, that's what you want.
Yeah, this is what functional depth looks like, right? You have good players sitting at your number 6 spot on the depth chart. Like, that's okay. We can start getting used to things like that.
And that's what we've been asking for, right? We just plug and play, next man up. Like, no flash or anything. Just do your job and go from there. And that's what we've been asking for both the O-line and D-line. And I'm really happy that they addressed it, whether it's pick 56. I know we didn't really talk about the trade and whether you guys would have stayed at 41, because I thought there were so many good players available at 41 that trading down to get those extra picks didn't, like, we talked about it last week on our show, and I really, like, the 4th round is like the real hard cutoff of where, like, do you get guys that are able to maybe start or get some time within the first year, and then everyone else is kind of like a project, if you will. And at pick 41, you may be able to get somebody that starts, right? And at that point, I was like, oh, did they really have to trade? I like getting the trade. I like, we'll talk about that later, but I like getting, a 4th round next year for the 7th that they traded at the end of the draft and stuff like that. But this one specifically, I was like, oh, there are so many players at 41 that maybe would have helped this team more than Ozzie Trapilo. But like we said, I like the functional depth.
I think
you want to go first, Rob?
Yeah, just real quick. I think your thought process there is 100% on point in most drafts. However, this draft, it was like literally from like 15 to like 70. That pocket of players was almost all interchangeable. There wasn't really anyone that, like, outside of like running back, there wasn't a lot of guys that you would think could just like take over a starting position on this particular team, right? Like, your defensive ends were set. Your interior line was pretty much set. Your corners were set. Your safeties, as long as Brisker is healthy, were set. Your offensive line outside of left tackle, which you don't know that situation, but if Braxton Jones is healthy enough come training camp, is set. Now you have 2 tight ends set. Like, your wide receiver room is stacked, right? Mm-hmm. So outside of running back, there really wasn't anyone that could come in and literally take a starting spot right away. So I think, to your point, yes, in most draft classes, you're going to have that at 41, but to get, 56 and 62 is better, in my opinion, than having 41 and 72.
Yeah, and the big value, too, is, the Bears traded a 2nd, 3rd, and a 7th for 2 seconds and a 4th, right? So it was, you lost a lot of value on that first one, but you got value in the 3rd. You move all the way up from the 7th to the 4th, where we'll get to that later. You should have got a good player, but so that kind of affected things. But I really like moving up from the 3rd to the end of the 2nd, because I really thought that you were going to be able to get a good edge, and you could have got a good edge there, but they again decided to go tackle. So moving up a few spots to secure a good edge. So I love the trade at the time. Both Justin and I mocked a similar trade like this in our ideal mock. So I was actually happy to see it, and it almost worked out ideal. You still get a great, very good offensive lineman for your room. And so I was all about it. One thing that is kind of interesting, though, I'm curious what you guys think about this. If, let's just say Travion Henderson does go 39 instead, right? And then the Saints still pick Tyler Shuck. Are the Bears going Luther Burden at 41? Are they going to just load up on those weapons? Or are they still trading down?
I think they probably might have. I would have.
I think they take it.
I would have loved that. I would have loved that.
It's just unbelievable. What is going on with the Bears?
Yeah. All right, so let's get to this, the 3rd of the 2nd round picks, and that was Shamir Turner, the defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Obviously, they traded with the Bills for this guy. I mean, he's defensive tackle. We were saying edge, but maybe I don't know if you guys have a better scout report that he can play outside, or is he going to be a big guy up the middle for Dennis Allen?
He's versatile enough to play both positions. I think you're going to see him more on the inside, at least to start his career. He's like 290 pounds, but look, again, another guy just like Trapilo. I had a 3rd round grade on, so it was a little bit of a reach, but I don't have a problem with it because we heard that there were a lot of players that you could kind of move up and down boards based on how you felt they fit within different schemes. And they clearly like this guy for Dennis Allen's scheme. To me, he kind of reminds me a lot of Grady Jarrett, the way he plays, that aggressive style, the way he just punches guys in the mouth with his hands, very violent hands.
In the mouth or?
Right in the mouth. Do it. I mean, he's gotten so many 15-yard flags. I mean, it's going to happen. I guarantee it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Better than punching people in the helmet like some other wide receivers we used to have. He's got really good speed to power, explosion off the line of scrimmage, which is something, I love Jervon Dexter. I'm a huge Jervon Dexter supporter. I've seen him grow as a pass rusher. He did struggle early on as a guy to get off the ball, right? Off the line of scrimmage as quick as other guys. You're not going to see that as much with Turner. Turner does have that jump right off the ball. He just doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves. So maybe those are things he can develop if he wants to become a true 3 technique in the NFL. But it might be more of like your DeMarcus Walker, where you're playing some inside, some outside. It just kind of, your rotation, keeping guys fresh.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, he's like the ultimate depth piece for the defensive line. I mean, he's one of, I think it was like 5 defensive linemen that played, 200 snaps at each spot. So it's like, dude, when you have that versatility, like it's just a great thing to have when it comes to somebody with injuries. So I think the risk over reward here was spot on. It was a good pick, I think.
Bob, I know you probably don't have it handy, but I mean, you looked into that pretty in depth when it came to that defensive line rotation and how many guys, like some of the guys that were getting major snaps. I mean, they were just guys.
Yeah. I mean, last year after Andrew Billings went down, there was, 35 to 40% of the snaps are going to practice squad guys in the last 6 games of the season. Like, you just can't have that. You just cannot think you're competing for the playoffs and have that. So, that's huge. And that's why I really wanted to build more depth along that defensive line. You guys said great things about Turner. He's a great player. I'm not upset about Shamar Turner being on the Bears, right? But I just think there's more value in this particular draft class to have they gone edge here at 62. And there still was going to be a good defensive tackles in that 4th round too. I mean, I kind of scouted that out before the draft, kind of lined things up. I knew edge was going to fall here and defensive tackle was going to fall there, and that's what happened. But instead, they kind of want Turner here, and that's fine. Good player, happy to have him. He's going to be fun to watch.
But Bob, if they kept 109, there was some defensive ends there too.
Correct. There's a lot of value in the defensive line, even later than I kind of anticipated.
You mentioned the mean streak for a little bit. I know, he's got a history of drawing some flags, and he plays with a little bit of a mean streak, which I think the Bears need. We talked about it last year when Caleb Williams was getting his ass kicked, and I know this is the the other side of the ball, but like we need guys, we need big uglies, we need guys that like really get pissed off and have a mean streak to them, and as long as you're doing it, within the parameters of like not drawing flags every couple downs. I like that pick. I like the highlight tape. And I know they're highlight tapes. Everyone has like a 10-minute video of everyone on Twitter, and they're all the great highlights. But like this guy plays with like a mean streak, and I feel like the Bears need a little bit of that.
It honestly seems like those penalties were a check in the plus column for them. If you talk to
I like it.
And Ben Johnson talked about it. They're all about it.
Ryan Poles is expecting fights during camp this year.
Yeah. And also, we're all wrestling fans. We like the low blow. We saw WrestleMania. He's got a little Paul Heyman to him with the low blows.
All right, we're gonna just keep it quick on the rest of the guys here. But with the 4th round pick, at 132, Ruben Hippolyte II, linebacker from Maryland. Rob, all right, you already don't like this one, huh?
We ain't keeping it quick for this one. This is a bum ass pick. Go ahead, Rob.
This is where you keep 109. Like, okay, Kyle Kennard, Jack Sawyer. There was 4 guys that fell between 109 and 132, and you end up with fucking Ruben. Sorry, can I swear?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let it rip.
Fucking Ruben Hippolyte, a guy who, look, he might become a safety. That's what they're saying. I don't buy that shit. I'm sorry. I don't. The guy, you either play really good football and you become draftable at a position and you can cross positions if you're draftable. But to go from an undrafted free agent all the way to a 4th round pick, no. If you are an undrafted free agent and you prove at your pro day or you prove at the combine that you're worthy of like a 6th round pick, I get it. Not a 4th round pick. I agree with you, especially where you say that 4th round is the cutoff. Look, they were at the top of the 4th round. We're not talking the middle of the 4th round. We're talking the top of the 4th round. This should have been a defensive end. That's all I got to say about it. I don't even care what happens. Bob is probably going to tell you something about Devin Hester, and I hope Ruben Hippolyte proves that to be true, but I just don't buy it. I don't.
I mean, at this point, I kind of feel bad. I'm sure Ruben is a wonderful young man. He earned his spot in the NFL. Like, he's done everything right. It's just because your new team drafted you way out of position, and the team could have done something to actually help the active roster, help the active depth. Like, I just don't know what he could do this year to make me think that he's going to be better than like the 30% rotational defensive end they could have got, the insurance on the interior offensive line they could have got, an actual running back with a great. Now, I like the guy we got in the 7th round. We'll talk about that later, but it's just a tough spot to be in, that now this guy is going to have to come in and produce. He's going to have to look like a player immediately, and maybe he's not even as good as the Sewell that we got from linebacker, right? So we're just going to have to see. You know, it's not my favorite pick in the world. Like I said, it's kind of forfeited a chance to take a real player to take a guy they really, really liked. So, you know, hopefully it works out. We're all Bears fans. We want it to work out, but it's a tough pill to swallow.
In my head, Ruben Hippolyte is now on the level of the Velus Jones and the Tory Taylors of the world, which I love the Tory Taylor.
Tory Taylor.
I love the Tory Taylor pick at the time, and I still love him. Punt God, we love him. But Ryan Poles has a history of maybe poo-pooing himself down his pants in the middle of these drafts. And Ruben Hippolyte, as much as the speed is awesome, right? So for some reason, like, all I thought about was like Jerry Jones and Al Davis, where it's like, let's just draft fast guys. But realistically, the best case scenario for Ruben Hippolyte right now is like stand out on special teams. Yeah, stand out on special teams. You know, force a couple fumbles and maybe make the Pro Bowl on special teams, and we got a guy that way. Because linebacker, I just don't see it for him, at least not in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, the only notes that I had down was drafted way too early and add Hippolyte to possible future DJ names for myself. That was all I had.
All right, let's go to our 5th round pick at number 169, Za Frazier, defensive back from UTSA. All right, so obviously after the 4th round, we're kind of just throwing darts, hoping something sticks here. So obviously, you know, maybe with, you know, Tyreek Stevenson, you're going to re-sign him. You got Brisker, still got to make a decision on. So obviously death piece development.
Yeah, developmental cornerback. This is a guy I actually do like quite a bit when you're looking at things like the Beast or anything that like lists out all these prospects. A guy who's 6'3" and runs a 4.3 640 stands out, right? Like, why is he rated as a 6th rounder? What's going on here? So it's an interesting project. You know, I really hope that it works out. I really love guys like this. It's kind of a luxury pick in this spot because, again, there were effective linemen on the board. There was effective running backs on the board still. So hopefully it works out. You know, I said all the traits that you could want and some ball production too, actually.
All right, I got to backtrack a little bit here because without the Hippolyte pick, you're not or the trade got the Hippolyte pick, you're not getting Za Frazier. Al Harris was talking about Za Frazier prior to him even being on in this organization. Mm-hmm. He wanted him. He's a 6'3", like he's lengthy. He's a ball hawk, had 6 interceptions this last year. I know it was in the ACC, so it's like competition's a little bit I think he had an ineligible year that caused him. So he's an older prospect as well. It's just not, look, if Za Frazier works out and Hippolyte sucks, I can stop yelling about the pick 109. But if they both suck, I don't know what to say because there's just two guys that have a lot of speed, special team standout, maybe can push, your corners, but that's all you're getting here with Mr. Za Frazier.
Yeah, the one stat that I liked was that he held the Packers first round pick Golden. He held him to one catch for 10 yards last year. So I'll take that.
Hell
as
yeah.
a small win.
Put him on the field when Golden's on the field. I like
Right?
that. Also, I believe we learned this morning. Now this is me. I don't mean to correct, but I think it's Zay. It's pronounced.
Zay?
I mean, it's spelled Za, but it's Zay Frazier.
I prefer Za like pizza. It's in Chicago.
Yeah. Print the shirts.
Change your name, Zay.
Change your name.
All right. Round 6, pick 195. Luke Newman, offensive line, Michigan State. Obviously, he was playing a Holy Cross for a while. Obviously, this is just a depth piece in development.
Yeah, this is kind of back to regularly scheduled programming. This is what you're supposed to do in the 6th round. Get an athletic lineman with some upside, a guy they got their hands on a little bit at the Senior Bowl, played some center, played some interior offensive line. So, yeah, good pick.
I really like this pick because it was also involved with the draft trade that you had said earlier, Peter, where they got that future 4th, right? So They moved down from 148. They got that future 4th, got this pick at 195. As Bob already alluded to, great depth piece. But I think it's important now that they have a full set of picks for 2026. I don't know if Ryan Poles will be picking. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm just joking. I do think Ryan Poles will be there. But
I like that. Put that out there in the ether.
No, I am a huge Ryan Poles supporter, as bad as I hate the Hippolyte pick.
Yeah. And then finally, we all thought that Bears were going to take a running back. Then they didn't. And then they surprised us with the 7th round with Kyle Managai. I don't know how to say his name. Running back from Rutgers. So obviously they missed out on a lot of their guys that they probably wanted to target. And then they just took this guy. 7th round. Let's see what we get. So I know, Bob, you said you had some thoughts on him. So why don't you kick us off on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a solid running back. I mean, he does everything fine, nothing terrible, nothing great, right? He's going to be able to come in and actually get some carries. He was rated right in the middle with a lot of these other guys, but I think he just kind of fell because of some of the explosiveness. But this draft was going to be deep in running back. We all knew that there's going to be effective running backs going up and down through the draft. So, the Bears, I think, maybe kind of played it smart by waiting until finally the last guy of all these similar rated guys in the 4th and 5th round. I think I'm looking at it now. He had a 4th/5th round grade in Dane Brugler's Beast, right? You get him in the 7th round. Right behind Brashard Smith is another guy with the 7th round. I know the Bears brought in for a 30 visit that maybe we would like, but there's guys after him here on this list that went in the 4th and 5th round. So he was a steal, as much as a steal as I guess you could actually get in the 7th round. I wouldn't be writing him off as a guy who can actually get some carries this year.
Yeah, I think Justin said it perfectly on our podcast. Had Monangai been the pick in the 4th round, and Hippolyte been the pick in the 7th round, maybe I wouldn't be having a Rob's rant right now on this episode. But look, I mentioned it earlier. I'm just going to tell it to you right now because I just pulled it up. So David Montgomery in 2018 had 257 carries with a 4.7 yards per average, 13 touchdowns. His longest run was 39 yards. He didn't fumble the ball, and he had a 4.63 40. Okay. Monangai, 1279 yards, so slightly more. He averaged 5 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns, same amount of touchdowns. He had a 62-yard long touchdown, no fumbles, and a 4.60 40. So to me, when I look at, and he's a bruiser, right? Like he's a guy who's going to pound it and gain some extra yards. I think he's going to be the one to push Roschon for that RB2 spot. And I think that's going to be your combination here. And I love Roschon. I wish he wasn't having the concussion issues. Maybe him wearing the Guardian cap will help, and he'll continue to do that this year. But one of those two is going to be your knuckles on this team.
So who's the odd man out in the running back room then? Is it Homer?
I think it's going to be Ian Wheeler again.
Yeah,
Ian Wheeler.
Homer's got that special team stuff that that matters.
Ian Wheeler back to being a doctor.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then last thing about running backs, obviously we saw some of the rumors. Is Nick Chubb going to be a Bear?
Maybe I have no idea what to think about what Ben Johnson actually wants to do. Seeing them skip over running back consistently in this draft, maybe makes you think that they like Roschon Johnson a lot more than we do, right? Maybe they really like what DeAndre Swift might be able to do. It's possible they just like this running back room. I really don't even know how to speculate.
I think it's the fun thing to say. Nick Chubb is not the Nick Chubb that we remember 2.5 years ago. I know he looks good.
Yeah,
in
he does.
shorts right now.
That workout video kind of got to me, and I know it's the same trope of like the guys jumping out of the pool. They're super athletic. But I saw the Nick Chubb video today, and I'm like, oh boy, maybe.
I mean, look, I don't have a problem with giving him a shot. I mean, if he can prove that he's healthy enough and prove that he can handle the load and be that guy that we saw 2.5 years ago, or at least 90% of that guy that we saw, because look, he was a top 3 back for a couple of years. I don't know. I don't think that this team wants to go like the older running back route. I think they like having these younger guys, and I think they're just looking to build their team the way it is.
Yeah, a lot could depend on what kind of contract Chubb thinks he's able to demand too.
Yeah. That's 100% correct. Good point.
All right, so let's wrap up on this. Let's give our draft grades on this because I'll start it off. I'm giving this probably a B-. I like the top of the draft for the Bears, but I necessarily did not like the multiple trading backs. I think you could have got a lot better value at 41 and 72. I did like them getting the pick for next year, but I'd still rather have 41 and 72, and I thought there was better pieces. Even if the guys that they wanted didn't fall, I think there was probably really, really good value still at those picks. So B- for me on the draft.
Who's next?
I'll jump in. I'm going to get a solid B. I know I kind of said some negative things in there in the middle of the draft, but 2 draft philosophies that I really try to live by are best player available and trade down really whenever possible. And so it's kind of I guess hypocritical of me to be too down on this draft when he basically did exactly the things that I like to see. The problem is that I just don't think he extracted the value out of this draft class. When you add the 4th round pick next year, you just kind of add that to this draft class, then maybe it'll all kind of work out. But he was on the path to an A+ draft after 4 picks, and then he just kind of said, you know what, well, that's pretty good. Why don't we just save stuff for later? And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But still a solid B. There's going to be some really good players for the Bears on the field coming out of this draft class.
I'm going to put my bear goggles on.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Put my bear goggles on. I'm going to give it a B+. Just mainly for those 2 top players. I think if you can get 2 first-round talents in your first 2 picks, that's absolutely fantastic. So I'm good with that. Driving the grade up, I'll give an F to Ruben Hippolyte. Can't even say his name correctly anymore. I'm hoping that what happened was, look, they celebrated after those, day 1 and day 2 so heavy and so hard. They were just hungover and just fucked up the day 3 picks. That's all I can be hopeful for.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay. I think B-. I was gonna go C+, and then I thought about it, and like you guys mentioned, I really do like the first 2 picks, and I think pie in the sky, like, oh, this offense we all expect to be awesome. The 2 things we didn't really mention, and it's more like we as White Sox fans, we see it all the time, just drafting injured players. So we're drafting a guy with an AC joint, we're drafting a guy with an ankle, we're drafting a shoulder and a shoulder, and so it's like, oh man, I've seen this a lot, but it's from my baseball team. But I know, like, they all reports are they're all going to be fine for camp and preseason. But I was like, I don't like that.
Did they hit double-digit wins yet? Or are they still stuck on 9?
They're at 7 wins. I think
7.
I think we're at 7. Maybe not.
I stopped watching.
But yeah, so I think B- is fair.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but this is one of my least favorite things to do is give a draft a grade because it's like so far-fetched. I mean, dude, we're 4 years removed from the 2001 draft where, like, we day after the draft is over, media's blowing us out the doors that we just had the best draft of our franchise or whatever, and every single one of those players is complete garbage right now. So I hate doing this, but just because it gives me a false hope, and I guess I don't know. I guess B-. So that's where I'll be.
Is that
All
Greg Gabriel he's talking about? Gave it a 10 out of 19?
No, we got our buddy Gabriel.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the
All right.
Raging Bear.
Peter Gabriel.
I had it out with Gabriel on Twitter, so that's why I was asking.
Oh yeah, I don't know. People like still engage with him. He's been irrelevant for so long. He was a failed scouting director. He drafted Rex Grossman. Get the fuck out of here. I don't care about any of your opinions anymore.
Super Bowl playing quarterback Rex Grossman.
No, Kyle Orton took that team to the Super Bowl.
Wasn't it like the first 5 weeks he was like an MVP candidate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Green found out, who he was.
Grossman is just giving me PTSD, so I don't get out of here with that. But all right, Rob, Bob, want to thank you guys so much for joining on and talking post Bears draft with us. Before you go, please plug away anything you want to.
Yeah, I mean, just the show. I mean, if you guys love Bears content as much as, these guys talk whiskey and White Sox, head on over to the Halas Huddle. Hit the subscribe button. We have been pumping out content a lot over this last offseason. We will take a little bit of a hiatus, pulling it back a little bit as we hit this lull here between now and training camp. But there's still plenty of content to be had. And there's giveaways, plenty of giveaways that we're going to be doing between now and then as well. So all you got to be is usually a subscriber, and then we'll have some type of, maybe a comment or a certain thing that you might have to do in order to get entered into that drawing. So go ahead and do that. And then I got to shout out, I write for Bear Goggles On. So definitely go check that out. We recently brought on Nicholas Moriano, who used to be part of
awesome.
CHGO. So his content is going over there as well for written work. That's all I got.
All right, Bob, anything?
Yeah, just check out the Halas Huddle.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for all the great insight on the Bears picks. I hope everyone learned a lot listening to you guys. So we'll have you guys on later in the year. But yeah, until then, thanks guys for joining us.
All right.
Thanks guys.
Right on. Keep up the great work.
Pause up.
What's up, baby?
All right. That was Rob and Bob from the Halas Huddle Podcast. All right. Before we get some fun stuff, we got to talk some socks.
Do we?
The other, we kind of do just a little bit. Because the one thing I really want the one thing I really want to talk about is it's got to be Tim Elko season now, right, guys? I mean, you've seen him here. I just want to pull up real quick. I had this from our farm report, but last week, 333, 7 for 21, 5 home runs, 8 RBIs. And what are we doing now, guys? Andrew Vaughn is not it. I'm so sick of Mr. Ground Ball, Mr. Double Play. Vaughn contributes nothing to this team. I think if it's not Tim Elko season this week, I think we have to riot, guys.
We riot? Are you calling out for the pitchforks and the tiki torches?
Yeah.
Tim
I
Elko?
don't want to associate tiki torches. I'll get pitchforks.
Hashtag promote. Dude,
Yeah.
we talked about this. What was it? 2-3 weeks ago. But when you first started doing your farm report, I said, we know you've been wanting to print Tim Elko shirts since the middle of last year, Jason.
Yep.
But my argument was like, well, he does strike out a lot, and like that K rate is so high. But at this point, who cares? Like, he's hitting so many home runs. Like, I'd rather hit a couple home runs here and there than whatever Andrew Vaughn's doing. Like, I'd rather have a strikeout than a double play like Andrew Vaughn. Like, he's like a double play magnet that kills innings left and right.
When you got runners on first and second with one, a strikeout is 100 times better than a double play. And I'm so sick of rallies getting killed because, face it, we don't got a lot of hitters that get on base to begin with. So when we do have first and second, one out, and then here comes Vandrew fucking Vaughn, and you already know what the outcome's going to be.
Just a dribbler to the second base, and it's like, what the fuck? Give me the strikeout instead. Strikeouts aren't that bad, especially on this team. When you give me a little bit of pop, we go to enough games. Obviously, we're not season ticket holders or anything like that. We go to enough games to where, like, give me a home run and a little bit of fireworks with my Modelo, and I'm a happy boy.
Yeah. What do you guys thinking? He was thinking the other day when he was running those bases. He was like, you know what? I made it on the base pad. I can't fuck it up from here, And then he gets caught up.
His brain is broken, man. He doesn't do anything right now. He's pressing so hard, like he's at this point. It's not just the bat; it's now the defense is failing him, and the base running. For some reason, we just assumed the base running was going to get better with this new managerial lineup. They are just as bad, man. They just don't know what to do at some scenarios. It's crazy. I was watching that game on, what was it, Saturday or Sunday? And I'm like, these motherfuckers just don't know how to run.
The thing that kind of strikes me, and I think Getz needs to, I guess you could say man up with this, but Andrew Vaughn is not his pick. That's a bad fucking Rick Hahn pick. And at this point, what are you holding on to? Set him down. If he obviously is pressing, and he's not getting the ball in the air enough. And yes, probably some of those are bad luck hits, right? Bad luck outs. But at this point, set him down at AAA for a couple weeks and hopefully get his mind right. I don't know what's the detriment to that. Is it going to make him worse? I mean, it's you got to do something. You're running out the same fucking shit every day, and meanwhile you got Tim Elko smashing in fucking AAA, and he might come up and be shit, right? Who knows? He might be another 4A guy, but try something different for once. We're fucking keep on losing to the fucking shitty ass athletics, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even Jay. I don't even think it's drastic enough to where send him down to AAA. Just bench him for a couple of days. Give him a couple of days off. Beefloaf does the phantom injury thing all the time. Give him a couple of days off. Have Tim Elko play at first. Maybe you DH a couple of days and have a rotation at DH or something like that. It doesn't have to be send him down or DFA him. Realistically,
I'm not saying DFA him, but
but I'm saying it doesn't have to be that drastic. Just give him a couple of days off, see what Tim Elko can do, and go from there.
Yeah. Edgar Cuero, he looks like a fucking guy. He had a really good week, and it's so nice to see a guy getting called up, and after a couple of games of not doing much, to start actually producing now. Edgar, fuck yeah, we've got a staple in our lineup now. I'm happy to see that.
It's a breath of fresh air just to see someone taking at bats that are 7-8 pitch at bats.
Quality,
instead of going up there swinging 3 times and sitting back down, it's Edgar Carroll knows what the fuck he's doing, and I'm like, man, this is something we haven't seen from a lot of these guys in a long time now. So yeah, dude, I think it's we talked about it, the vibes of the young guys at this point. Get rid of all the old stinking losers. Get rid of all of them. It's almost like what's the I'm thinking of the Al Pacino Scarface. The Scarface. The womb is polluted.
Yeah.
Vaughn, Robert, all these guys, they're fucking polluting the young guys. Get rid of them. Give me the young guys, even if they don't know what they're doing. At least it's they got some vibes to them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a great slash line for Edgar. 344, 462, 406, 462 on base. That guy's just get the guys who can draw walks, man. That's what we want. So it's great. It's great seeing that guy with a great eye. So all right, let's keep it rolling.
So at what point do you guys think that they fire this offensive coordinator that's been doing so great?
we got the fucking Shane Waldron of baseball too.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, seriously, he's obviously got to be the first guy that gets his neck on the axe, right?
I think but no one's getting fired this year. I mean, it's a whole new regime, or at least managerial wise. I know there's a couple holdovers and Sizemore still on the team or whatever, but no one's getting fired. But
you don't think so?
It's a bad look. It is very much Shane Waldron all over again, but now in baseball form.
Yeah. All right. Before I get to the farm report too, one more question I have you guys. What is going on with all of a sudden we have openers? 3 games, openers.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah. Dude, we knew we were going to stink. I didn't think we were going to stink just as bad as last year, but they stink just as bad as last year. Let's get weird with it. Toss in some openers, do whatever you got to do. Do what's the What's the? But now maybe I'm going too far off the wall. What's the position in softball when we used to play softball and like in grade school? Short center. Toss some short center out there. Like just get weird with things. I like the openers. Like you know, like these guys toss them in for an inning or two. It's good. It's fun for betting. At least for that, it's like an interesting concept. So, Tadahito's with me. I like the openers.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, most of these guys are only going 3 innings anyway, so it doesn't really matter,
JT's got a great comment. Put the bullpen first. That way I don't have to wait to know how drunk I want to get while watching.
If you start them off bad, if you start them off in the beginning, then they can't be bad later, right? At least you'd hope so.
Oh, and then
it's like the game. Suck faster.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some. It's a condensed Sox talk. We went super long on Bears with the Halas Huddle guys today. So, real quick, let's get to some farm reports before we have a couple of quick announcements about Sox. Kyle Teel this week. Remember, last 7 days, 316, 6 for 19, 2 RBIs. So, nice piece of stick in there for Kyle Teel.
Yeah. Hashtag promote.
Hashtag promote. All right, Colson Montgomery, guys, shield your eyes on this one. Bad. 0.48, 1 for 21 with 8 more Ks.
Wait, what happened? Between last week and this week, wasn't he on like a 7-game hit streak or on base streak?
Yeah, and then this week he went 1 for 21.
1 for 21.
Yeah. 8 more Ks, so 43 total on the short year for him.
Get this graphic on.
We showed you Tim Elko again. Hashtag promote. A guy. The first week I did this, I said keep an eye on. Corey Jokes.
We're back with the jokes train. We're back on the jokes train.
471, 8 for 17, 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. Corey, our perpetual maybe 4A player, but he had another great week with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. So maybe guy have to keep an eye on some more.
Good for Corey Jokes. I mean, maybe he up. I mean, he at this point he might be promoted by the time Talkman gets his hamstring in order. Maybe Corey Jokes is Wally Pipham. Yeah.
All right, let's head on down to Birmingham right now. Good week for our boys. Noah Schultz, 5-inning pitch, 3 hits, no earned runs, and 5 Ks.
Yeah.
Noah, back on track. Good to see that. Great week for Noah. And Hagen Smith right behind him, 4 innings pitched, no earned runs, and 8 Ks for Hagen Smith. He's a strikeout machine, man. He's just
Hulk Hagen, baby. I love Hagen Smith. We talked about it before. He looks like goddamn Carlos Rodon 2.0, and he just got that nasty fucking stuff. And that's we like hashtag shove maybe. Hagen Smith shoves, man.
And Grant Taylor, 6-inning pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, and 6 Ks. So those three guys having a great week for Birmingham. Have to imagine that one of those guys is going to get called up to Charlotte probably sometime in May if they keep the way they keep pitching. And then finally, one guy who did get promoted, Braden Montgomery. He went from low A to high A.
Yeah.
So this was his line in low A. He batted, his slash was 304, 393, 493 with 3 home runs and 19 RBI. So that was a good line for him. So let's see what he does now in Winston-Salem. So
of all the guys, besides the pitchers and the catchers in the minors, Braden Montgomery was the guy that everyone knew. Like he could rake, and he's on the fast track, right? And now I'm excited. I want him to keep doing this in high A and just keep moving up the ladder. Because this guy, as much as like we're fawning over Colson Montgomery, I feel like this guy is the real deal.
Yeah, I think realistically a good goal would be end of summer AA.
Hashtag my Montgomery. Yeah, this is my Montgomery.
Yeah, I think if he can make the transition to at least Birmingham by the end of summer, I think that's a good season for him. And then he starts next season either in AA or Charlotte. So, good for Braden Montgomery, man. All right. And that's all I got for our farm report. But we do have two other quick White Sox announcements, guys. First off, it is our next tailgate, Whiskey at Comiskey, Sox versus Rangers, May 24th, a 3 p.m. game. So that means it's a noon tailgate start. We got Ramova, other half brewing, coming back, bringing us all those delicious beers that you guys drank on opening day. As always, our food will be announced closer to the event. So, and there's always going to be a tasty bourbon, right? I mean, we're always going to have you guys drunk.
It is Whiskey at Comiskey. There's going to be whiskey.
So the official form for RSVPs will be going out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And please RSVP because it helps us keep track for food and beverage counts. And then second, as we mentioned, Southpaw's 21st birthday tailgate, June 8th in Lot B. That's our boy, the fuzzy green dude. Yeah. Hope you guys got your tickets for this one. This is not a Whiskey at Comiskey. The tailgate's starting like at 10 in the morning. We're not going to try to, kill people at 10 in the morning with bourbon. It'll be brunchy. There'll be mimosas. There'll be bloodies. There'll be some Mitchies. There'll be some tequila sunrises. All your favorite brunch cocks will be there. But also the official sign-up sheet for this will be going out tomorrow as well. So keep an eye out. Make sure you get tickets if you haven't already, and RSVP because we got a lot of cool, fun stuff planned for June 8th with our friends at Sox on 35th. It's going to be a great time that day.
Pumped.
Pumped. Yeah. All right. That's all our Sox talk and all our sports talk. So, Peter, before we get into some fun stuff, pay some bills.
Let's do it.
The Original Chickies Beef is a proud sponsor of the BumCast. We've got the ultimate food hack for you. Next time you're craving something absolutely delicious, you've got to order not one, but two mouth-watering slices of pizza. And trust us, the bums know a thing or two about pizza. Make sure you check out their pizza specials. Get one jumbo pizza slice with a drink for just $8.50 every day. And every Monday, while you're getting ready to watch the BumCast, get a large 16-inch pan or thin crust 2-topping pizza for just $16.95. So for dine-in, carry-out, drive-through, and delivery, that's the Original Chickies Beef, 4152 Roosevelt Road in Hillside. And tell them the Bum sent you. All right, Peter, let's get to some headlines here. Let's talk some fun stuff here. So let's fucking go.
Let's get to some fun, some weird, some who knows what. The first one was something I saw today, and I want to get your guys' opinions on. Scientists in California have said that they discovered a never-before-seen color called olo by using lasers to stimulate the eye in a way natural light can't. It's described as jaw-dropping blue-green that can't be recreated on screens. And then on another tweet, I said that it's not green, it's not blue, it's something or not something in between. The color is so unusual that the brain doesn't understand where to place it. Only 5 people in the world have managed to see olo so far with special stimulation to the retina. So, my question for you guys is, if possible, would you get lasers in your eye to see a never before seen color?
Absolutely fucking not. I am obviously probably not one of those 5 people, but that's teal. That's sea green. That's foam green, whatever you want to call it.
That's not what it is. So there's a video. I was busy at work. I didn't have time to cut it. There was a guy describing the process, and he couldn't, like, the brain. He said he's like, I can't tell you what I saw, but it was awesome. And I was like, damn, I want that. Unless I'm getting LASIK, I don't need lasers in my eyes. So I thought it was going to be completely opposite for you specifically, Jay. Of all of the bums, and I'm talking about the, Aaron and Joey P and everyone in between, you're the flex guy. You love flexing, saying like, oh, I went to this restaurant, like right when it opened, or this meal, or this something. I got this bottle. Like, you're the flex guy of the group. Imagine having the flex that I saw a color that only 6 people in the world have seen.
Yeah,
it's the biggest flex in the world.
my eyes are already shit. I don't want to risk more lasers going near them unless it's LASIK surgery and it's going to make me see 20/20. I don't need no, like, the risk. You might see those 5 people might be blind in 5 years for all we know. The color might be permanently embedded in their brain and just makes it explode and they can't see anymore. I don't need that risk.
Dougie?
Yeah, it doesn't excite me at all. Dude, just whoever can see it, just take that shit to Home Depot, color match it, so everybody else can see.
Can't do it, Dougie. It's impossible.
No, this when I read this story real quick or whatever, I was just like, this is like, is that dress viral photo that was going on, like in like
the blue versus purple
yeah,
dress.
Yeah, white and gold, like, I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me,
I love your house color. What is it? It's Olo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Olo. Maybe I'm a nerd. I'm a fucking sucker for that kind of stuff. Like whenever you guys are like the Vanta black, a black so black that like it doesn't show anything. Like I was reading articles and trying to watch videos on Vanta black. I'm in for the weird color. My eyes are so shitty anyway. The lasers are probably gonna help.
What I want to know is like, how are they fucking around with stuff? Like, obviously, it was seen by accident. I'm assuming, right?
No.
Like, so they knew that the lasers would do this. Like,
yeah.
How did they know that the lasers?
So now we're getting into this is way beyond our pay.
We need some Bill. We need Bill Nye. Can Bill Nye join us?
But eyes are. Bum of the week eyes. Human eyes are shitty and haven't developed in centuries. Like eyes and the brain only perceive what you see, and like we should be able to see way more than like the Roy G. Biv. But like eyes haven't developed in like millennia. So they stimulate the retinas for you to be able to see other things than your eyes can see. Science, baby.
Sam was probably doing that in Vegas this weekend. He was getting stimulated on shit and seeing stuff that people don't see. Happy birthday, Sam.
Happy birthday, Sam. All right, what do you got next, Peter?
All right, speaking of science, this is something that I want to talk about last week, but we were running long. We punted it till this week, and it's happened already. So first, I'm going to tease you with the headline I had from last week, and it says, Sperm Racing Showdown aims to raise awareness by turning health into a competition. Step aside, NASCAR, move over F1. There's a new competitive racing phenomenon on the horizon set to focus on a far more attainable mode of transportation, sperm. The race is expected to be sperm squaring off in a microscopic racetrack, and it was UCLA versus USC. It was in the Hollywood Palladium, sold out. There was a live stream pay-per-view. Betting was involved in it. So my question to you last week was going to be, would you guys be interested in sperm racing, both as a betting and or competitive?
No, I'm not betting on this. I'm competitive, man. I want to see if my boys are fast.
Well, I don't know.
Second question was like, Shane Spagnuolo is calling you out about a fucking 40-yard dash. Let's fucking squirt one out and see who's really faster.
But dude, I can't trust Jason. He was trying to eliminate his whole damn team for a pinball machine.
That's true. The vasectomy content didn't happen last winter. So it ended up happening. I was gonna tease this last week. It was last Friday. It was on pay-per-view. I did not pay for the pay-per-view, but there is highlights on YouTube. They're electric as hell. There's music. The announcers were awesome. And these were the two guys competing. Tristan from USC versus Asher from UCLA. Live sperm racing at the Hollywood Palladium. Sold out crowd. Like I mentioned, betting was involved. Live streaming was involved. This was the racetrack. I wish I could show you the video to this, but there is so much like copyrighted music. I was like, there's no way. But so this was the racetrack, and then it changed to like a vertical view. They meant it to, they made the racetrack to simulate like a female reproductive system. There was music involved, live streaming involved. And then so my guy, this guy was the ended up winner. They came out in like racing suits, like it was NASCAR.
Wait, is he he's grabbing his dick while he's holding up the sperm? That's
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Oh man,
are you guys in? Are you guys in on the racing or not?
How long was the race? Do we know?
Yeah, no, it was a decent, probably like 45 seconds.
Okay.
All right, so I have a couple questions on this. Number one, do they both have to like? Is it like a starting gate where you both have to come at the same time?
No.
Oh.
It's off science, baby. It was all frozen. Like test tubes. You know what was crazy though? There was like a mechanism that like released the racer, almost like a horse race, if you will. that released it. You guys gotta watch the video. I'll post it on the Bums YouTube or on the Bums Twitter. But are you guys betting on it, or should we just do this? Maybe like live stream it as like a part of content.
So here's the thing. I don't want to brag, but I have won one of those races before. Believe it or not.
We all have. That's why we're alive, Dougie.
I know the joke.
Yeah,
I bet on it. Yeah, I'd bet on it.
What if like the best like fastest sperm guy is just some like 300-pound like 50-year-old guy who's just like these guys are like in college, cut ripped, and what if some guy just comes in like some basement neckbeard and is like, I got you beat, guy.
At this point, not only is it like electric enough to put on YouTube, I want it in the Olympics. I want to see what country is the best swimmers country. Like get the best of the best and see which country has the fastest swimmer. It's probably Mexico.
Dude, what I want to see is like, what would the coaches look like?
Good question.
Yeah, I'd bet on it, but I'd have to figure out a way to parlay it because that's the only type of bet I like to make.
All right, Peter, what's next?
So this was, we talked about it. We actually had a tweet this week talking about peek behind the curtain. Will we ban ChatGTP as content as the Bums, both, like the visual and everything else. But ChatGTP predicted the next 50 Super Bowls in the NFL. The Bears are the winner of Super Bowl 2036, and that's about it. So I just kind of want to pick your brains on ChatGTP.
2026, 2027, 2028, baby. We're repeating this.
I mean, I had the tweet out there over the weekend. I'm on the Bears season ticket holder waiting list, and they told me 8 to 10 years. I could be hitting the sweet spot, boys. I could be hitting the sweet spot.
AI. Let's just say AI don't know ball, right? Because Bears are winning one this decade.
Well, I did like how they just threw random teams in there, like newer teams.
Like
they're predicting new teams. That's what I like.
Casey's never gonna win like another Super Bowl, like only gonna win one more Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they've been in a Super Bowl fucking almost every year. So you're saying that they're only gonna win one more? It seems a lot of
like if you do the math, the Bears only win a Super Bowl every 40 years. So we're due in 2036, and that's about it.
We got the Royals, the Spurs, the Invaders.
Yeah.
It looks like the Timberwolves have in 2048. The Timberwolves have moved over from the NBA to NFL.
It would have been funny, like if they brought back like the Redskins or something, like racism's back or something.
Shit.
That
would be some shit. We don't say that. We say the R words.
Yeah,
that's right. All right. Any more headlines, Peter?
That's it. That's all I got for this week.
All right. Then with that, I think it's time to bum some people, guys.
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
You call me a bum? My man, I take that with pride, with honor, that I'm a bum. I'm the king of the bums, baby.
Because you're training like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum.
Bum.
Bum. All right, let's get to our listener bums and MVPs. First up, Jeff Bartlett. I know I'm a day early, Bums, but I don't care. My bum is Guardians fans for chirping over very serious subject. Yeah, they were making fun of the guy for a suicide attempt. Like, what are we fucking doing here, Cleveland? That is like horrific fucking behavior right there.
Yeah, that's some Philadelphia type shit.
It's the lowest of the low. I will give credit to the other Cleveland fans. They pointed him out. They got him out of the stadium with the quickness, and rightfully so. That is some scumbag behavior. So yeah, I think we got a couple of these for the next couple of slides.
Yeah, and his MVP, Seth Rollins, for trolling the Packers fan on Friday night. The greatest draft pick announcement in the history of the NFL, especially when he said, "I'm in the shadow of Lambeau Field, the great Lambeau Field, where the best quarterback is undefeated at Lambeau." Like, great troll job. Great fucking troll job.
It was awesome. And also, I'm just going to throw it out there. Head over to Windy City Sports Cards, because he actually made 3 Seth Rollins cards, Bears cards that are going to be given away. So go ahead over there and sign up for that. Check it out.
Hell yeah. All right, next up, Sidney Brown, RAP to, I guess this is his MVP, Steve McMichael, legacy on and off the field will live on forever. Yes, RAP to Steve McMichael, great Bears legend, lost his battle to ALS, and one of the 4 horsemen.
Great Bears legend, great wrestling legend. He is a man of jack of all trades.
Yeah, so he will be missed in Bears lore. And bums of the week, the stupid fan during yesterday's Red Sox Guardians game making fun of Duran's suicide attempt, no call at the end of the no call at the end of the Knicks Pistons game 4. NBA refs are a problem, man.
I haven't watched a lick of NBA basketball except for I was at my grandma's house and I saw when LeBron James turned into the scumbag chop blocking Anthony. Like that was like I was like, kick him off the tour, Doug.
Yeah, you know what? I usually don't watch much basketball, but me and Jason been watching a shitload, betting parlays left and right.
Yeah, bottom of the league, you guys. What are you guys doing watching NBA?
We got our own text thread going.
Yeah. Mike Prez, MVBs, the Cubs and obvious shirts for replacing my torn hoodie with the new one from each store. Prez, you find the TV more often than most baseball players do for some reason. I don't know how you do it.
He's a TV magnet, man. I'm telling you. We got to print out some bums in the bleachers hoodies so he could be wearing those to games. Just the TV finds them. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to print a T-shirt and like he's going to wear it, Like, the guy's showing more skin.
The weather's getting warmer. There ain't going to be no clothes on.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nipple season.
Maybe we just have him get like a tattoo above his nipples then.
Oh, yeah, maybe even temporary tattoo. Just temporary tattoo.
Ooh, QR code on it?
Yeah.
I like that.
Walking marketing billboard there.
Billboard in the bleachers.
Yeah. Bum of the week, the Cleveland fan who taunted Jarren Duran about his depression struggles. As someone who has felt similarity at previous times in my life, it's something I take personally, as everyone should. That's no place for that in the game. Our friend Brett, bum of the week. Guardians fans are being a major piece of shit to Jarren Duran. Yep. It seems to be a consensus here.
Yeah.
MVB, ESPN for showing my buddies and I on their broadcast last night. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
He was at the Cubs. He was at the Cubs game wearing the Phillies. He has like a Sox overall. He's worn it to Whiskey at Comiskey. He had a Phillies one. Apparently, and I knew this from last year, but he's a Phillies fan along with a White Sox fan. So the camera caught him as well, too.
Ooh, good job.
Second year in a row.
Our friend Jose. Okay, who on White Sox Twitter did this? Bums. MVB, Chicago Bears. I think they did a good job in the draft. I'm excited now. Bum of the week, pooping lady. The police were called to a Chicago airport after a Southwest Airlines passenger allegedly took off all her clothes and pooped on her seat. When you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah, you guys are the Southwest guys. You guys, I'm looking at in your direction.
Hey, I'm going to need more context. Was the seatbelt light on? Because if the seatbelt light was on, it's fair game. I'm just saying. Got to pay the rules.
Got to go. You got to go. Taco, MVB, Chiefs for having an amazing draft. Heard Mel Kiper gave him a D+. Maybe, I don't know. Bum of the week, Mel Kiper for being a total ass and my first hemorrhoid. I'm officially old. Wait, so are you saying that Mel Kiper is your first hemorrhoid? Like, is Mel Kiper's face popping out of the hemorrhoid?
I think he's bumming both his hemorrhoid and Mel Kiper, but Mel Kiper could be a hemorrhoid. Mel Kiper, all-time bad weekend. And we didn't even talk about the Shedeur Sanders prank call, but that Mel Kiper.
I don't think I've ever seen someone suck up draft prospect's dick as much as I saw Mel Kiper suck Sanders' dick over the weekend. That was sad and pathetic. Like, and then his comments about NFL doesn't know, like, has a problem with drafting quarterback and scouting for the past 50 years. And he was like, but we know what we're talking about. Like, if you knew how to draft quarterbacks and pick like the hits, you would be in an NFL front office. You would be a GM. You would be a scouting director. You wouldn't be fucking sitting at the ESPN getting television time once a year for fucking 40 years. Okay. So if you really knew how to evaluate quarterback talent, you would be at an NFL team, not sitting at an ESPN desk looking like a fucking jagbag.
Yeah, with stupid hair.
Stupid hair.
All right, next up. Seth, bum of the week. Myself for thinking that the Miami Heat could pull it off. Yeah, that was you gotta own that one. Miami sucks. MVB, Julie, because why not? Happy early birthday.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good one.
That's a good one. Next up, Joey P. MVB1, Sunday naps. They make Monday a bit more tolerable. Sunday naps are the best. MVB2, Dougie, for inviting me to my first Chicago Wolves game. Dougie's got more on that later. And then bum of the week, WWE ticket prices. Ringside SummerSlam tickets are reportedly 5 figures a seat. See, that you knew that shit was going to happen when TKO took over, jacking up all the fucking prices on that. That's five figures. Now, I don't know how much is that is the Ticketmaster, premium, whatever they the term that they use now for their, preferred, like when there's a hot section or whatever, preferred seating or how much of that is actually Ticketmaster. But I hate that shit though.
Yeah, there was a lady that actually ran into RKO, and he was asking her, just chopping it up with her, asking her where she was sitting for WrestleMania, and she was sitting on the 100 level, and she said for 2 100 level tickets for both nights, and then I think she might have gone to the Hall of Fame. She said that she paid over $10,000
per ticket.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? I mean,
Randy Orton said he felt, and he's like, I really like, he was like, that's embarrassing. Not to her, but the fact that fans had to pay that. So credit to Randy Orton. I saw that interaction.
That was
bad. Next up, and finally with Mailman Jack, MVB, tableside tiramisu. Had a great vacation with my wonderful wife, and at our last night's dinner, we had this for dessert. I don't know if I can go back to regular, preformed, amazing dessert. Yeah. Tiramisu is awesome. I love tiramisu.
Yeah, me and Julie are big tiramisu.
Yeah. Bum of the week. Return to work early. My old creaky knees. Yeah, happens to the best.
It happens.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's get to our bums and MVBs. Dougie, why don't you start us off?
All right. Yeah, I'm a quick MVB. I'm gonna MVB Barry Bag of Donuts. That game on Wednesday at the Wolves thing, he actually stopped by, bought an official game puck for the kids, and then also they were giving authenticated warm-up pucks, which were still cold from the ice. So big shout out to him, or whatever, made my kids' night, even though they didn't win. It was still very cool of him, so thank you to that. My other MVB, which I had already MVB'd him for this back in July. For my birthday, Joey P gave me a AAA membership, and I had to use it today. So unfortunately, my car is going through some things, and I don't know what's going on. And it kind of sucks, but that was pretty smooth with the AAA. Highly recommend them. Thank you, Joey.
Hell yeah.
So I have 2 bums. One of the bums is going to be super chalk. I'm going to bum Packers fans for booing McMunkle and then also this in the same breath or whatever, Peyton during that montage at the thing. So that's terrible. Like I don't think that I would ever
boo a dead Packer. But
It's like booing Reggie White, right?
yeah, right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. I agree with you.
But
if Brett Favre dies, I'm booing him.
He'd probably be the only guy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Mongo was like on that level.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So Packers fans, bum of the week. I also want to bum the week. Just the whole fucking process of dealing with car dealerships, like anything. I mean, anything. Like, so I just sent my car in for service, and they basically just told me that the earliest convenience that they can get to it is sometime in the middle of the day on Wednesday, maybe Thursday morning. And they're like, well, we're just really jammed up in our service department area, like right now. I just don't understand that whole concept. Like, make better cars then. I don't know what to tell you. Like they offer
or hire mechanics.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like they're like, I just can't believe that, A1, when you have a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, you got to understand that there's going to be a lot of cars in there. That's a long time. That's a lot of miles, like figure it out, and then I sort of started thinking like, hey, you know what? I know I was talking to you guys like about buying a new car. And, so then I started kicking that around. That process is even worse than fucking trying to deal with the repair. Like, why is buying a fucking car like an act of God? It is so terrible. Like, can we just go from point A to point B and just get shit done? Car dealerships, it's the worst experience.
If you go to Carvana, you can just get your car off the vending machine.
They give you the big quarter.
Have you heard stories about the Carvana stuff?
Yeah, no, I have not.
Yeah, it's not good.
We might have to deep dive into Carvana. It's not good.
Yeah, it's some mob shit for sure.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go next. My bums. I got two. First one is the NFL. Because over the weekend with the draft, every time the pick was in, they were like, you know what? It's time for a commercial break. It's time to announce the schedule release date. It's time to have these people come on and just blah, 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 blah. The pick's just sitting there for like fucking 10 minutes, like festering, and I'm trying to stay off the Twitters so I don't get the pick spoiled, which is already out there. But come on, the pick is in. Get it out there, man. Why do you have to commercial us every time? Bum of the week NFL.
That save the date shit was like
that's like, what I said. It was an announcement for the announcement.
Right. That's gonna get leaked the day beforehand anyway.
Yes. Yeah. My second bum of the week is Matthew Berry. We all heard about the prank call that happened to Sanders. Schefter said the Falcons will not take any action against their defensive corner, Jeff Ulbrich. They are continuing to review the protocols to make sure something like this happen again. Okay, the kid fucked up. Matthew Berry went full fucking old man at clouds and said, no action, ridiculous. And this BS statement from Atlanta isn't strong enough. Shame on the entire Ulbrich family. Whatever you think of Sutter, everyone deserves to be treated with respect. The 21-year-old kid made a fucking prank phone call and apologized for it. And now you want to fucking like find the organization, ban the whole, shame the family? Like, what the fuck did his dad or his mom have to do with any of this shit? Like, the kid saw the number, called it, played a prank. Be fucking done with it, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you want him to fucking just be done with, put him in jail or something? I don't know what the hell.
Guantanamo.
I don't. What did Matthew Berry expect the Atlanta Falcons to do? Like, oh, hey, you can't talk to your kid now for fucking the rest of the season? Like,
that would be funny.
The second a football organization tells people how to discipline their kids, then we fucking really jump the shark of NFL shit here, right? I mean, fuck off, Matthew Berry. No one cares about your roto shit, anyways.
So we didn't talk about the prank phone call, but I was put in a tricky situation because I grew up, as we all did, with the Jerky Boys and Adam Sandler and all that stuff, and Bart Simpson, and prank phone calls are fucking funny, and they'll always be funny. But I also hate Ole Miss frat boys. They're the scum of the earth. I don't like Ole Miss. I don't like SEC culture. I don't like anything. So I do side with them to stick him specifically in Guantanamo. But yeah, it put me in a tough position. Yeah, Eddie and Jobo, like I love prank phone calls. I think it's funny as long as no one's actually hurt. And yeah, like it sucked for Shador because of what he was going through, and that snowballed the situation. But prank phone calls are funny.
Yeah, I think that there's some more like deep rooted something. Like Matthew Berry got hurt by a prank somehow.
We got a prank
100%.
phone call Matthew Berry. We got to find his number.
Someone doxes his phone number, man.
But also, like I said, fuck that kid.
Yeah.
And then my MVP is two of them tag teaming. Our friends Brian and Pete, aloha, Mr. Hand, for joining us Thursday for our Bears live draft party. And for Pete specifically for bringing a nice bottle of Dom Perignon for us to pop. I don't think I've ever had Dom before, but I might have had it once before, but I don't remember. But it was fun.
We popped Dom for the second best tight end in the draft class. It was awesome, baby. What other podcast does that?
Yep. All right, Peter, take us home.
All right, I'm gonna start with my bum. So the Washington Nationals, like we throw events, obviously on a smaller scale, but there's a lot of planning and there's a lot of foresight and a lot of thought involved in this. And the Washington Nationals held Dog Day, which the White Sox do, and I think it's one of the best days of the year. They hold it multiple times a year. The problem with the Nationals is they held Dog Day on the same day that they had Firework Night. And if you guys know anything about dogs, if you guys are pet owners, RIP our lovely dog Luna. Yeah. Love her to death. She hated fireworks with a passion, as most dogs do. So when you throw a dog night, maybe don't do a firework night. And the worst of all is this graphic that they showed that said post-game fireworks will begin 20 minutes following the final out. If you know anything about leaving an event, especially a baseball game, if it's close in the ninth and everyone stays, you're not leaving within 20 minutes. You're stuck in the parking lot. You're stuck in the car. These poor dogs were probably stuck in traffic thinking it's World War III because the fucking, mortars are going off and everyone's enjoying their fireworks. Poor dogs are suffering. This is like, I saw this. I'm like, what the fuck were they thinking?
I like the post caption there. It's like, if your four-legged friend's not a fan of fireworks, leave. Like, get the fuck
we
out.
Can't. There's fucking traffic. You've been to Washington, D.C.? You can't get anywhere fast.
Yeah. And then, like I was commenting, dude, the graphic of the actual dog, dude, look at his face. He's just like, fuck, you hear that?
Yeah, he's scared.
Yeah.
They probably set off a firework just for that picture.
Right. Photo
I
shoot.
saw this. I'm like, no fucking way. But yeah, it happened.
Jeez, bum.
And then, MVP, like you mentioned, Pete and Brian, if you guys haven't seen our live draft show, it was our first live draft show, which like we want to do more of these watch party types. So thank you, Jason and Sarah, for hosting, and like thanks for everyone that watched. It was like a lot of fun. There's some things we learned, some things we could do better, but overall, I think it went well. So that was awesome. If you guys haven't seen it, at least watch the reactions to the picks and stuff like that. And then finally, it's Julie's birthday, like Steph mentioned in the at Bums and MVPs. Her birthday is tomorrow. I mean, in a couple hours, if we're really honest. So if you guys want to wish her a happy birthday, wish her in the comments, tweet her, Instagram, DMs. We talk about it a lot, but like our significant others are a big reason why we're be able to do this, right? She's upstairs watching the kids, putting the kids to bed while we're here. They help, or like all of them help tremendously during Whiskey at Comiskey and everything else. And, she's the best. She literally like runs. She's the quarterback. She's the quarterback running the show. And I'm just the fat O lineman hoping to block and protect. So obviously, happy birthday to Julie. I love you. And yeah, everyone wish her a birthday.
Hold on, real quick. We have breaking news here. Aaron says, happy birthday, sister-in-law.
Yeah, Aaron's really weird about that stuff. I'm surprised she even typed that out. That's interesting. Interesting.
Maybe it was a typo. She was putting silly.
Oh, happy birthday, silly. Maybe.
Birthday,
maybe
silly.
there's breaking news I don't know about. We did go long today.
All right. So that's our show. Thank you to our very special guests, Rob and Bob from the Halas Huddle Podcast. Appreciate them for coming on and talking all things Bears. Thank you to everyone who commented and, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We'll be back very soon, but make sure you keep an eye out for those sign-up forms for our tailgates coming out tomorrow. And with that, guys, have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Great on, baby.
Bye.